Hey everybody, Dr. Nelson here. This is a video about two equations for each relationship. All right. So for this activity, I want you to think about a famous movie out there called Transformers. Okay. And in fact, I want you to focus on this character here, Bumblebee. All right. So if you ever see the movie Transformers, Bumblebee is a robot that can transform into a car and then transform back into a robot, right? But Bumblebee is the same, no matter either the robot or the car, it's the same character. It just looks different, okay? So keep that in mind as we talk about changing the looks of some of the equations we're going to look at today. So what you learned so far is when two quantities, x and y, are in a proportional relationship, okay, we can write the equation y equals k times x. Remember, kx means k, the k value, times the x value. So I'm going to put a little dot there for times, okay? And remember, the k value stands for constant of proportionality. So the following table shows a proportional relationship between x and y. So again, here are the x values, and here are the y values. And hopefully what you can do by now is look at this table and see the pattern, right? So to go from x to y, we're multiplying by 4 for every ratio, right? So 3 times 4 gives you 12. And every one of these, to get the y value, you multiply x by 4. So that means the constant of proportionality is 4. So before we had y equals k times x. And all I did is I replaced the k with the 4. So here's the big concept you need to understand for today. All right. So the same equation may be transformed to solve for x. Remember, look, here's the word transformed, right? And we're talking about transformers today. Okay. So remember, Bumblebee transforms into a car. So what we're going to do is we're going to transform this equation to solve for x. Now, to do that, let me show you something a little more basic. Let's say if we have 6 equals 3x. All right, remember, 3x means 3 times x. So what you've learned so far, right, in algebra, is you can divide both sides by 3 to get x equals 2. All right, we just transform that equation. That's what you do when you divide both sides by 3. So what we're going to do over here now is we're going to transform this equation by dividing both sides by k. So divide by k, divide by k. So now these k's cancel out, just like these 3's cancel out, right? And what's left over here is x equals the y value divided by the k value. So again, we just transformed the equation y equals kx to now just solve for the x value. So let's prove that this works. Okay, so we know that the k value, again, we figured that the k value was 4, right? Because to go from 2 to 8 is times 4. And let's plug these values in to get this, to see what x is, see if it works. So I'm going to take any y value. Let's pick this one here. I'm going to take 40. And if I divide it by the k value, right? We said k is 4. Well, 40 divided by 4 is 10. And notice that 10 is the x value. And it's also over here. Let's do one more. Let's say let's go with the y value is 20. If I do 20 and I divide by the k value 4, that means the x value should be 5. If I go over here, look at that. The x value is 5. There's one more thing I need to show you. All right, the same equation may be transformed to solve for k. All right, again, you know that k stands for the constant of proportionality, right? So here's a shortcut to solve for the k value. Okay, if you divide both sides by x, again, these x's cancel out. So to get the k value, you take the y value and divide it by x. So I'm going to write that over here nice and clean. So the k value, you take any y value and you divide it by the x value. So knowing that, let's take a look at this. All right, let's go back to this equation. All right, let me prove it to you. So to solve for the k value, you take a y and you divide by x. So notice I took this 8 in blue, and when I divide it by the 2, we get 4, and there's the k value. Let's try this one over here. If I do the y value 32, and I divide it by 8, the x value, we get 4. So here's the big three. This is what you need to know probably for the next test or quiz. All right. All three of these equations are from the same equation, y equals k times x. But what we did is we transformed this to create this equation and also this equation. And by knowing that, you can solve for y, k, or x.